Hello, we're here today with Katharine Butler, CEO Museus.AI, to show you a little bit around the project and how it's working. Hello, Katharine.
Hi.
Could you please introduce yourself a bit and the people who are not familiar with the project, tell them about it and
Sure.
say something?
So my name's Katharine Butler. I am now living in the United Kingdom, but I used to live and work in Prague for 15 years, from 1992 to 2007, where I established several different companies in the consumer goods area. And the most famous one was Sparky's, the chain of toy stores, but also sports goods and many other things. So I suppose an entrepreneur is what I am, but I also am a collector of Chinese porcelain and have been very interested in the study of culture, and I suppose my business sense wanted me to try and see whether there was any possibilities of, bringing tech to the study of culture, of art.
Okay, thank you. Let me stay a little bit about your collection of Chinese porcelain. But what I know, it's quite unique, let's say, even in Europe and even maybe in the world.
Yes.
So can you tell us a bit, how did you get there? How did you started to collect? And whether you're planning like bringing AI curator into your own museum?
Yes. So the collection, it's a family collection of 17th century Chinese porcelain, and it's really the most famous and the biggest in the world, even within China, but of course outside China. My father started collecting it in the 1960s. It was a period that wasn't so popular, and he managed to make this huge collection that is really incredibly well respected and known. And it was through studying that, and also as a collector, so you need to create a database to control, to manage a collection. And what the Museus is a form of technology that you can learn more, discover more about art. And specifically what Museus does is it brings AI technology to understanding art. And yes, I'm working on making an AI curator for the Butler collection.
Okay, great news. What was the main source of this idea, like bringing AI and technology to museums? We spoke earlier that museums are quite conservative institutions, so it's rather difficult to bring them this idea to it. So what was behind for that?
Well, it's funny, the word conservative, because in fact many museums have conservation departments. That's their job, is to be conservative, to protect the past, to make sure that it's not destroyed. But there is this opportunity to be able to look at art and culture, with new technology. And the idea really was that curators have a huge amount of knowledge in their heads, in the books they've written, but it's quite hard to communicate that to every visitor. And more people like to look at things in an independent way and to understand and investigate. So we wanted to create something that would allow each visitor or each consumer of art to interrogate a work of art, an object, personally, ask it anything. So to effectively have a highly trained curator in their hand and answering the questions that they ask at the level they ask, in the language that they ask.
Yeah, I think it's the very most important part also of museums, apart AI part, the language part, because there are many museums in the world which obviously have English, German, French, but there are also a lot of minor languages which are important for people to understand what was the art about, basically.
So our first project is here in the Muchova Museum in Prague, and you can see the captions have two languages. They have Czech and English. The visitors here are French, they're Chinese, Korean, Japanese. They're from many, many different countries. And although English is an international language, it's always more comfortable and more relaxing to have things in your own language. And what we've been able to create is very natural language, multilingual curation. And that is a huge advantage, much more accessible to a broader group of people.
Yeah. So let's jump a bit to the start of the project or to the idea. How did you discover Dummy? How did you decide to partner with them?
Well, as I said, I used to live in the Czech Republic. My partners in Museus.AI are two actually Chinese citizens, both based in America. So one in Los Angeles and one in Columbus, Ohio. So we're quite well spread out across the world. But we were looking for a coding company, a programming company. And because I used to live here, I asked people who run businesses here. And one of Dami's customers is Freebike, and they recommended Dami to me. So I did look at some other companies. I was interested to use a Czech company because I have a good relationship with the country and believe that there's really highly trained and very technical people here. It wasn't really just a question that it might be cheaper than in America or in the UK. It was really that the skill set is here.
Okay, so initial spark for us was like the word of mouth, let's say.
The word of mouth, definitely. The recommendation beats everything.
Okay, can you tell us a little bit about the process of work with us? Like, what was your responsibility? What Dami was handling, maybe?
Yes. We were coming with a completely new idea, and probably that's what a lot of Dami's clients have. It's something that hasn't been done before, so you can't model it on something else. It was really a process of working together to understand what the product is and how to make it as smooth running, as efficient, as intuitive, and as really attractive as possible. So it was it wasn't dictatorial on either side. It was really a fusion of ideas and exchange of ideas, and trying to avoid inefficiencies or areas where the program is just glitchy.
Okay, understand. So what would you maybe say, and it's also for others, like it's not only about this project, but what was your biggest challenge on early on, like what others could avoid maybe knowing about it?
I think that in our particular case, we were communicating across time zones, across languages, and I think that probably we spent too much time in long Zoom meetings with too many people on the meetings. I think that probably to streamline processes, you need to get the individual parties really to try to refine precisely in writing their ideas, and then to have some draft concept based on that, and then to have the feedback from that. I think that in every area of business, spending too much time just talking with group calls is not efficient. So I think that's one area that I would streamline. As quite not immediately in the project, but we started using Trello, a kind of sort of project management software. That actually was, I don't necessarily think it's the only one out there, but it was quite a good way of managing the process. I think that by the nature, it's always going to be difficult when you're making something completely new, because you will always encounter problems that you couldn't imagine what they were because you didn't know that they existed. But I think trying to get all the parties to refine the issues as much as possible in advance of meetings where you then resolve specific issues rather than generally just talking.
I understand. I can only confirm that, like, the larger the group, the bigger the issues. So you want to definitely like streamline to smaller group and then split it to separate parts if you want it. And also like what you are mentioning, like this is what happening very often, like the creative people meeting the technical people. It's clashing somewhere. That's where often the sales team comes in and try to ease it on both sides because both are edges. So yeah.
I think that what particularly is important with a relationship is to avoid the inertia of what has been done. I think very often just because something has been done, people think, okay, move on. But it doesn't mean that it's right. And so you have to have the humility, the energy on both sides. And I think Dami is skilled at this, at saying, no, that's not right. You know, we've done it, but we need to improve that. Remake it, change it, or, you know, incorporate it differently. And I think that is, you know, constantly challenging and never just accepting it because we're exhausted talking about it and we need to move on.
Yeah, I understand. Okay, Museus.AI uses like retrieval augmented generation and also closed domain data without going too much into the technical detail. Can you explain why this is important for museum?
Yes. Well, now people have much more experience with AI, and most people have come across what's known as hallucinations, when basically it lies. You ask a question and you get an answer very confidently presented to you, which is just not true. And retrieval augmented generation allows for closed content training, which means that what we have done, and in the case of the Muchova Museum, on every single object here, we've trained our AI curator on that object. So all the information that the curatorial staff at the museum will give us, we have trained for each object. It means that when somebody asks a question, the AI will first search its own service, its own content, and then it will augment it and supplement it with the large language model that it relies on, and come back, if possible, somebody's asking in different language, then it'll translate as well. But it will come back in natural language, but it will be very, very accurate. And that's essential for our project, that the information is reliable.
I do believe that every time when you use like LLMs or large language models inside some application in companies, you want to limit the hallucinations to like minimum, because otherwise it's not usable and it's not trusted.
Exactly. And also what we're capable of doing with this is also specifically restricting the usage to the subject matter that people are talking about. Of course, people will test it, people will ask silly questions, people ask how much the pictures are worth, and we have to imagine through the testing process what are the boundaries of absurd questions that it's going to ask, and to check that it does actually respond in a reliable and acceptable fashion that is not offensive in any way, and at the same time is factual and isn't bland, because quite often AI has this flatness that is rather boring. And so we have to get the right tone, the right factual, and the right information.
Okay. Also, you also mentioned about it, like the quality assurance. It's a topic itself. How did you did the research and things like that to set up the right level of quality and being sure that the outcomes of the model and the app are on point?
So what we want to establish with Museus is really a collaboration with each institution that we're working with. So ensure that their curators are supplying the reliable information. So the first point is that the content is provided by the institution, and therefore they own the copyright, that it's there. One of the question marks with AI is the extent to which the intellectual property of the content creator is being or not being infringed. So for us to work very, very closely with the museum is essential for them to be providing us with good quality information, and information that is beyond what is on the caption on the object. So that's the first thing. And then the second is testing it. And the Museus web app has some fixed information. When you scan the QR code and find out what the object is, you get some fixed information, and then you have a choice of 4 predefined questions, which, if you haven't got your own question, it can ask for you. All of these we created with the Muchova Museum. So those are really curated questions, and that means that the quality is as reliable as it can be.
Okay. You mentioned QR code.
Yes.
Let's say we switch to the visitor side. What is the process when they come and seek the QR code? What is the
Well,
way?
I think the only way is to see it in action. So we'll have to show you. So a visitor uses their camera to capture the QR code. The web app opens. They have to accept the conditions. They can choose the language, and then let's go. In this case, we've scanned the Damo Camiglia. We get the basic information and then 4 questions. And then they can ask any question of their own. You know, who is this lady? And then it will answer using AI within about 5 seconds. The lady in the painting is Sarah Bernard, a renowned French actress. And you can listen to that as well.
This poster, created by Alphonse Mucha in 1905, was designed to promote Sarah Bernhardt.
What was the impact and feedback of the whole application? Like, since launch, you probably have a lot of feedbacks, let's say, from the customers, from the more of the experts and people around the art, not only like the, let's say, amateurs, and I don't mean it like sound badly, but the normal people coming to see the pictures, and also some experts. So what was the first feedbacks and how it's evolving?
Well, I think there are 3 sets of feedback. So you have the normal visitors, you have the expert visitors, and then you have the museum world. So I would say from the regular visitors, definitely it's younger ones who are attempting it. As we said earlier, the language is very exciting. There were a couple of Korean ladies here yesterday who were so thrilled to actually have it in their own language. They weren't so young, but that I think people find very interesting. And so a QR code tends to be an invitation to find out more. We recognize it as something that invites you to go further. So people are very willing to try it. I think we have something like 80% of the visitors, if they're not groups, if they're groups with a curator or a guide, they don't use it so much, but most people try it. And half of the people who in the museum will keep on asking questions. So 1 or 2 try it once and give up, but about half of the visitors continue to ask questions. all the way around. So that's the regular visitors. For people who have more knowledge about Mucha, our feedback's been excellent. And the questions you get, because we are able to read the questions, and it's fantastic for the curators because they really see what people are interested in. So the types of questions people are asking really gives insight to a curator that they don't normally have that chance. So that's from the more sort of expert point of view, and the quality has really, no one has complained about that. Generally, from the museum world, there's been a lot of interest because AI is the big thing. Nobody has been doing this like this up to now. We found a solution that is, much more usable. There was another attempt in one museum where they used it through WhatsApp, but it wasn't so refined or trained, and it was very limited. It was 10 pieces. So this has got quite a lot of international coverage. People are really interested in it. So I would say positive.
Okay. Can you maybe share what metrics or qualitative outcomes you are taking out of the app from the people? What are you following there?
Well, we obviously the conversion rate, so numbers of visitors to users, how many questions they ask, how long they stay on it. Also, what has been very interesting is the number of users outside of the museum. And that's fascinating because that has a whole extension as a potential income source for museums, because it becomes a interactive catalogue that people can discover before their visit, after their visit, and they continue to enjoy and learn about the objects. So that's fascinating. We can see exactly in the world where people are who are using it. There's a huge amount of metrics that we worked with Dami using an analytics program, and there's almost unlimited amount of data that we can produce.
It's also important to collect as many data as you can and then find out the idea how to use them, let's say.
Yes, exactly. And also, again, collaborating with the museum, because we need to know their numbers in order to get the conversion numbers. But it's also extremely useful information for the museum. For example, with languages, they don't have a way of knowing what languages people are speaking necessarily. So this gives them additional feedback.
Okay. I would like maybe come to some lessons learned and surprises within project.
Yes.
So if you, before the project, would know what you know right now, would you do anything differently? Would you do some avoids and things like that?
Well, we do everything differently because we would know how the end product would look, and so we would work backwards from there, whereas this we were all groping slowly towards the end product. But there are some very practical things, like, for example, the QR codes we put on the wall were too small to start with. These are just sort of things that you don't imagine. So funnily enough, that's the non-programming side. There was quite a lot. The communication to the user, these types of things are critical. But I think the most important thing is the mindset that you have to take people who don't know anything about the project on to test it, because everybody involved in it is always so deeply within it that they don't spot what is unintuitive or doesn't run smoothly. So
selective blindness.
It's whatever. It's that because you know how it works, and you need to take somebody who isn't very good at technology, isn't very interested, and you need them to test it. And there were little things like we put an additional button on for the QR scanner because people didn't know how to scan the next one. Of course, we knew, but They don't.
Yeah.
So little things just to improve the user experience.
Okay.
But it's a constant process, and we've got quite a few new developments that we're adding to it.
Okay. Looking at the whole project, like from the beginning to where are you now,
Yeah.
was there something what really surprised you, some kind of user behavior or something around the project which was really surprising for you and you had to like digest it, let's say?
Yeah, I think that there's you always want to do everything. When your first idea when you come to a project is that you have so many ideas and you have you want to put in games and we have some actually very lovely animations that we added. We wanted to make the whole thing much more sort of, bright lights and flashing music. But we realized that actually you need to make things as simple as possible to start with. So I think that was our, not necessarily a surprise, but our learning was that you have to pare things down to the simplest possible form to make something that people can understand.
Okay.
But interestingly, the sort of problems were eventually much more about, where to put a QR code. If there's a shadow under the frame of the picture, the QR code is not so readable. So really practical little things.
Understand? Yeah, that's interesting. We will be probably some possible or potential visitors watching this. Can you enclose some of the roadmap? What can they look for when they come in the future?
Yes, we've got a lot of ideas and plans. We want to introduce some gamification into the app. We've already introduced voice, which we didn't have originally. We've got likes as a new option. We want to make it eventually more interactive, so that the user experience is very much more personalized, that you can potentially, there can be Easter eggs, there can be things you discover to get rewards for yourself. And I think eventually people may want to use more voice, and the AI is enabling you to be informed without being fixed on your phone. So I think there is many new iterations to follow and developments. We want to customize the product for every institution that we're working with. It's not cookie cutter. It's place by place.
Okay. And when we are speaking about the product itself, your plans like enlarging it, moving it to some other museums,
Yeah.
can you say something about
Yes,
it?
yeah.
If it's not under NDA, let's
Well,
say.
I'm not going to give names, but we've got a lot of projects in the pipeline. I think that we will be developing in America, in the rest of Europe. There's interest from China. There's a lot of developments happening in the sort of digital technology and culture generally. But I think we've got already a position in that, and there's really an interest to see what the potential is. Nobody really knows. AI is still quite new in people's lives, and there's obviously a sort of hesitancy about it in every area, but at the same time, a curiosity to see what it can produce.
Okay. And bound to that, like your relationship with Dummy, is there like with those plans some idea where we are taking it, what dummy will be like helping you with?
Yes. I mean, more of the same, I would say, because it's an exploration together. So we have ideas, they tell us what the limits are. My partner's a computer scientist, but in the artificial intelligence area. So that part we bring to it, but the coding, the design, the user interface, these things is what Dami has done for us, and we can continue in these conversations and developments which each client that we bring, we can work together with you.
Okay. We're coming to the end, so I have some two more, let's say, questions. Like, what would you like to say to other museum directors, to the owners of museum? What would you, if you could send a message to them, what it would be from you?
I think that probably dare, risk it, try it out. I think the fear everyone expresses with AI is that it's going to remove everybody's job. In our particular case, we are really trying to augment the curator's work and allow their levels of information and knowledge be transferred to the maximum number of people. And so I think it's not something to be frightened of. Just embrace it, try it, see if it works for you. What it allows is for an exhibition to be much more visual and to have much less signage, which on the whole is quite a good thing. It means that you have a sort of a more visceral experience rather than a reading experience. So I would say, don't be frightened.
Okay, so what you are saying, it's like our tool or our app is more enhancement than replacement?
Definitely. I mean, it couldn't work without the really highly expert knowledge of the museum. Okay. It relies on that. It's not replacing that.
And definitely it has also potential of bringing new type of groups of visitors who will want to more cooperate with the technology. And
I think that's it. I mean, I think that the younger visitor is much more, digital native and expects that level of interaction and opportunity. So it's not really an option. You have to provide something that is, technologically based.
Exactly. So my very last question, like success. It's a different thing for everyone in this world. Let's say, what is it for you in, let's say, 2-3 years? What would you consider a success in this project?
I think that we would like, obviously, to try to get the product that we've made to be accepted and used in as many places as possible. But I think that we see a huge amount of opportunity of bringing AI into the study, research, and business of art. And I think that there's a lot that we can do in streamlining processes in the whole sort of consumption. So whether it's from a business side or a sort of academic side. And I think we'd like to become a leader in that field, which is relatively unexplored at this moment. Okay.
I wish you the best of luck with that.
Thank you.
I would like to thank you for your time that you came here, made this interview with us. We really value it. And I also value the place of Mucha Museum that we were able to do it here, which is rather different than what we standardly do.
Exactly. It's a very beautiful backdrop we have.
Okay. So thank you very much.
Pleasure.